Hey everyone, welcome back to the Create Art video series where I'll be teaching a new art project this week. This week's going to be a little bit different though. Instead of working in 2 dimensions, we're going to be working in 3 dimensions. So I'm going to be working with Play-Doh for my project. But if you don't have Play-Doh at home or modeling clay, you can click on this link above and that video will show you how to make your own Play-Doh just using a few simple kitchen ingredients and the help of an adult. Then come back to my video and we're going to use that Play-Doh or modeling clay to use it for some 3-dimensional sculpture skills. And then I'll be teaching you how to make your own 3-dimensional tortoise. For that tortoise, you're also going to need a pencil to help you out and some texture tools. Texture tools could be a marker cap, a paper clip, a fork, anything that you can press into the Play-Doh or clay to give it physical texture. So grab your materials and get ready to create. So today I'm going to be teaching you a few 3D skills before we get into our tortoise. The first skill I'm going to teach you is how to make a ball. And then I'm going to teach you how to make a coil, which is more like a worm or a snake shape. Then I'm going to teach you how to make a pinch pot, which will eventually be used for the tortoise shell. And then also talking about texture. For my textures today, I'm going to use a marker cap, a paper clip, and a crayon. But you can use anything that can press into the Play-Doh or clay that you're using. It could be a fork, it could be a toy, it could be anything that can press into it and make an interesting shape or pattern. So those are the things that I'm going to be using for mine though. For my Play-Doh tortoise, I'm going to be using 2 different colors. I'm going to be using pink and green. But for right now, just teaching you the 3D skills, I'm just going to use the green Play-Doh for right now. So I'm going to take that out of the jar and start to work with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a ball. To make a ball, you should be using a circular motion with stiff palms. So I'm going to kind of rotate my hands like this together and keeping my palms stiff so that I can roll the Play-Doh between my hands. You can also do this on the tabletop, just using a stiff palm and rolling it on the table too. So I'm going to start it in my hand here and just roll it using that circular motion. Or I can put it on the table like this, take my stiff palm over it, and just roll it on the table to make it smooth as well. If you have any little cracks or bumps in it, you can just kind of compress them together or just ignore it. It's not a big deal if you have any of those little lines or creases on your Play-Doh. But that's how we make a ball. This is going to be what we're going to be using for our tortoise body to get that started in a little bit. Next up is a coil. From the ball, I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to squeeze it in my hands. We're not going to be using the coil for our tortoise, but it's a good 3D skill to know. So I'm going to start it squeezing it in my fist, making it already into kind of a coil or a worm shape. Mine kind of looks like a pickle right here with the green Play-Doh. I'm just going to roll it on the tabletop. So using, again, a stiff palm, I'm going to roll it back and forth. So not in a circular motion, but just back and forth. The more revolutions you can get on the table, so the more it can rotate, the smoother and rounder it will be. Notice as it's getting longer and longer, I'm using 2 hands now. And it's just going to keep on rolling it out. Just adding a little pressure, it's going to make a long snake coil. Coils are great for making coil vases, or maybe you're going to make a snake, or maybe use multiple coils to make a bowl of spaghetti. But coils are really great in kind of like using a line out of your Play-Doh or clay. So that's a coil method. And then next we're going to use a Play-Doh for a pinch pot. So I'm going to get it back into a ball. Pinch pot, again, is what we're going to use for our tortoise shell. So this is going to be an important skill to practice. So I've got that back into a round form. I'm going to take the Play-Doh in my non-dominant hand. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to put it in my left palm. Just kind of hold it there. I'm going to put my thumb into the Play-Doh, pressing it in about my fingernail deep, like so, just to make it already into kind of a small little bowl. Then I'm going to use a lobster pinch. So I'm going to take my 4 fingers and thumb and pinch them together as I rotate this pinch pot slowly around. I'm going to pinch these edges here. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit, pinch it at the same time, and that's going to open my pinch pot up a little bit bigger and wider. You want to try to have even walls all the way around. Notice my Play-Doh is cracking here. That's okay. Again, if it does that, you can kind of compress it back together just by pinching that area a little bit more or blending it together. And so I've got this nice little cup shape, this little bowl, and this is again going to be used for our shell for our tortoise in a little bit. Finally, for texture, again, you can use any materials you have, but just for creating texture, I can take like a marker cap and press that into it to make little circles. You can use the back of the crayon to make different size circles, or the point of the crayon too. Paper clips will create a nice kind of swirling line almost. You can use your pencil. Anything you want you can create texture with that can compress into that Play-Doh or clay that you're using. And that's what we're going to do to create a really cool looking shell on our tortoise. So I'm going to get my green compressed back together, get that ready for my tortoise body. I'm going to grab a second color for my shell, but if you're just using the same color, that is okay. I'm going to be using two different colors for mine. So this pink is going to be my pinch pot, and then it's going to have some texture added to it as well. So first up is the tortoise body. To get started on my tortoise body, I do need to take a little bit of this Play-Doh off to save for the head. So just about a quarter size, a marble size, a gumball size, whatever you want to think of. Just a little bit that you can save for the head. The rest of the bigger part of my Play-Doh I'm going to roll into a ball. So using my circular motion and stiff palms, either between my hands or on the tabletop, I'm going to roll that back into a nice smooth ball shape. That looks pretty good. I'm going to take my pencil now, and I'm going to press this pencil into it to make a cross shape. This is going to help make the legs of my tortoise. So I'm going to first press my pencil in vertically up and down, like so. Notice I'm not going super deep into the Play-Doh, just about the pencil thickness into it. Then I'm going to lift that out. I'm going to go left and right horizontally, press that a little bit into it too. Again, only about the pencil thickness. Pull that out. So you'll notice it has kind of a plus sign or a cross shape. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these little sections I've made and pinch them using a small lobster pinch. 2 fingers and your thumb is all you should need. I'm going to pinch that to form it into a little leg, like so. So it should look like a little mountain here. I'm going to do that on each of those sections I created in between the imprints of my pencil. So you can see I'm starting to form little feet to my tortoise. So once you have those 4, I'm going to press in the belly just a little bit, just so those legs stand up a little bit taller. And just form those any more how you want. Those look pretty good. They're all pretty even. So now you can stand up on his own. I'm going to take this smaller Play-Doh I took off a little bit ago and form that into the head. So I'm going to roll it into a small ball. I'm going to put it on one side. I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to press it into the body. I'm going to blend it. So blending just means to smooth them together. So I'm just going to take my finger and I'm just kind of compressing it, pushing it into the body so they kind of stick together. Like so. Smooth out that leg a little bit too. I'm going to take my pencil and make 2 little eyes. So I'm just going to use the pencil tip to make 2 points. 1 on each side for the eyes. I'm also going to use the tip to kind of draw and open up a mouth. If you don't want to use a pencil too, you can use a crayon or anything that's pointy to make those eyes and mouth on there. That looks pretty good. I'm also going to make a little tail just by pinching the back into a little tail shape. So the body of my tortoise is done. So I'm going to set that aside for right now. I'm going to use my pink Play-Doh for my shell. So this is going to be using the pinch pot method. So first I need to start with a ball, using all the Play-Doh for this part. Then I'm going to take it in my non-dominant hand, push my thumb about my nail thickness into it. And I'm just going to slowly rotate around while I'm doing a full lobster pinch, 4 fingers and a thumb. Rotating it slowly, opening up that pinch pot. I'm going to smooth out any of these little creases or lines because I'm going to be adding my own texture, so I don't want those to get in the way. So again, I'm just going to press my thumb over it to smooth those out a little bit. I'm going to check it on my body here, see how that looks. So right now it just kind of sits on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 sides, this side of my pinch pot and this side. I'm going to pinch them down a little bit further so it kind of looks like it's sitting more on the body. So I'm going to pinch those a little bit thinner on the left and right side. The front and the back can stay the same. put that on there now. See how that looks. See how that looks now. See how it sits more over the sides of the body. It looks a little more realistic. That looks good. I'm just going to keep that on my tortoise here. I'm going to start to make my texture. So again, you can use whatever tools you want. I'm going to start with my marker cap here. I'm going to press little circle shapes all the way around the bottom of the shell. I like to have it symmetrical, even all the way around. So went all the way around the bottom there. Next, I'm going to use the paper clip. I'm going to press that in between the circles here, creating a cool little line design there. Then I'm going all the way around. I'm going to take my crayon and press the back of my crayon into the top of the shell. Use the smaller point to the crayon to go around that. Go back and add a little dot to the middle of my marker cap textures too. And again, you can make your textures and patterns however you want. Please be creative and use your imaginations. Maybe you have different tools that you're using, so you can make that different than what I'm doing. And with that, my tortoise is complete. I've got a nice shell starting with a pinch pot and my body using that cross method to form the feet. While I was adding that texture, those feet kind of smushed a little bit, so I'm going to pinch those back a little bit further. Show you that side view. Other side. Standing up. Do a little shell spin here. And that is my tortoise. It is complete. Thanks so much for creating along with me today. I hope you had a lot of fun creating your own three-dimensional tortoise. If you are one of my students, you can take a picture of your tortoise and email it to me, and maybe I'll feature it in a future Hooray Art video. But until then, stay positive, always inspire, show creativity, and always be the best version of yourself. Please share this video with others, subscribe to my channel for future projects, and leave any comments or questions for me down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a great day, everybody.